Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel, and thank you again for coming back to another episode of my Tarantula YouTuber guide. So today we have Jade from Jades Jungle. So if you don't actually know who Jade is a great person to talk about snails with. So she has, sorry, I've got a fly flying around. So she has so many different snails. She has the African land snails in different forms. She also has the predatory snail that me and Sidex recently bought for her. If you haven't seen that, then go check out that video. It is amazing. It's so pretty. So yeah, Jade has so much knowledge on snails, on rabbits, on guinea pigs, fish. Like, she is just literally like she knows so much, and it's ridiculous. So yeah, go check out Jade if you haven't. She will be linked back down below, and I will come back at the end and speak to you after Jade has spoken.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name's Jades Jungle. Well, no, my name's Jade, but my channel was Jades Jungle, as you can assume. And thank you to Ebs for letting me be on her channel and talk to you about one of my favourite species of tarantula. This channel is dedicated to all of my pets. I mainly have invertebrates, but I also have, you know, guinea pigs, rabbits and a fish tank. So what got me into the hobby and how long have I been keeping tarantulas for? I haven't been keeping tarantulas for that long, probably since, hold on, I can tell you the exact date because I have a little spreadsheet. I'm that kind of person. My first tarantula was in 2018, so I've been keeping them for about 3 years. It's not too long compared to a lot of other people, but I had to wait until I'd moved out of my parents' home because they were scared of them, so that's why it took me so long to get my first one. And the thing that got me into the hobby was that I just love all kinds of animals. Like, I don't have any animals that I would particularly hate. I think they're all so cute and sweet and need to be cared for and cherished because they're so cute. However, not a lot of animals are cheap, not a lot of animals don't require much room, as you can see by the tarantulas. Oh, hi Alan, behind me. Oh, there's Nando's as well. Tarantulas are burrow dwellers, which means they stay in a burrow and they don't really come out of it. So as long as your container has their burrow in it, plus maybe a little bit extra room just in case they want to move out of into the world of the burrow, which they never really want to do, then they're perfectly happy. They're not an animal that requires a lot of space, such as a rabbit or a guinea pig. When I was living in the flat, I didn't need to buy a huge 6-foot vivarium, which would have been a lot of money and would have taken up the whole room, basically. So the reason I went for invertebrates in the first place was just simply because they didn't have the expensive veterinary bills that small mammals did. They didn't take up as much time. Even my fish tank takes up loads of time and money, and I just thought that they would be the perfect match. Tarantulas specifically is because, I don't know, they're just kind of, nobody likes tarantulas, do they? But I always found them so fascinating. So I had giant African land snails at first and millipedes, and then I got my tarantula, and I love them. Question 2. What was my first tarantula? My first tarantula was Susie, a Lasiodora Parahybana, who's actually a male, and I'm really sad because I wanted to be female so I could keep them for years. But unfortunately, I think he's about to mature soon. And it's a salmon pink bird eater, and I actually called it Susie because of Susie Salmon in The Lovely Bones. Question 3. What are your top 3 places to buy tarantulas from? Fun fact, I've only ever bought tarantulas from one place, which is the spider shop. Of course, everybody knows the spider shop, but I've also purchased an animal from Venomous Visions before, which was my flat rock scorpion, which is an arachnid, so we'll include it in that. I did buy a Vietnamese forest scorpion from Bugs and Bits, so we're going to go with those 3. And question 4. Tell us about an interesting fact about yourself. Oh my god, I hate questions like these because I don't know. If you take away the animals, what's an interesting fact about me? Like, I'm just literally the most basic person ever. I have a vegan Instagram where I put up recipes. I love cooking and making new things. So that's another interesting fact about me, I suppose, is aside from animals, I like food. So the species that I've chosen to cover today is actually my Lasiodora Parahybana, which was my first tarantula, and I thought that would be nice because actually one of my videos when I first started YouTube was a Lasiodora Parahybana sling care video, and I've not done an updated one since then, but that one was quite popular back in the day, so I would quite like to, you know, do a little update on that because it was a tiny little speck of dust when I made that video, and now it's bloody huge. Biggest tarantula I have in a 15-gallon tank. It's bloody massive. But this species is also one of the most common species because they are so prolific that there can be, you know, hundreds and hundreds of eggs in a single clutch, which means that a lot of places actually give them away as freebies. If you do a big order, you'll actually maybe get a Lasiodora Parahybana sent to you for free. I think Susie was about £2 or £3. That's how cheap and inexpensive she was. So a lot of people end up with these tarantulas even if they weren't really planning on getting one. So it's important that we sort of get a lot of, you know, care information, different ideas out there, so then people can see the different videos and hopefully pick something up, because I think this is one that a lot of beginners do start out with. A lot of people actually call them LPs for short, so if you ever see someone just put an LP, that is a Lasiodora Parahybana. It's actually considered to be one of the 3rd largest species of tarantulas in the world. So they get really large and they actually have super bad urticating hairs, which means when the tarantula flicks its hairs off of its abdomen, they can sort of be barbed and get into your skin and make you burn and make you itchy. But Lasiodora Parahybana are actually supposed to have really strong hairs and sort of considered similar to T. sturmies and stuff like that. I've got nothing on that to report to you because I've been flicked by loads of hairs and I just never notice anything. I have like the skin of a leather sofa. So I can't confirm what that feels like, but apparently it's really bad, so be warned that it's like fiberglass getting in your skin and it's incredibly itchy and irritating. So this is one that you do not want to handle, and it's one that if you are sort of cleaning out the enclosure or moving them to a new house, that you would take precautions like precautions like eye gear, maybe some gloves and stuff, long sleeve, just to make sure you're covered properly, or else you'll be covered in hairs. They are endemic to Paraíba. It is a New World tarantula, so it's not going to be that defensive, but I found that mine personally is quite skittish. It goes through phases, I think, depending on the part of the molt cycle it's in. Sometimes it'll be very slow moving and docile and not jumpy at all, and sometimes you'll touch the container and it will do a little bolt around and then nearly run away and it'll be really scary. So they are very temperamental, but they're not like nasty. They're just kind of a little bit skittish, I suppose. Or at least they are in my opinion. I know some people that think they're nasty, and I know some people that think like they could probably pick them up and handle them if they so pleased, but I don't recommend it. And I think, you know, it just depends on the personality of the individual. But typically, because they're a New World, they're not going to be, you know, aggressive and defensive and threat posing or anything like that. The venom is supposedly not that potent, you know, New Worlds, they don't really have that strong a venom, and it can be likened to like a bee sting, but they have massive fangs because they're a massive tarantula, so that can hurt like a cat bite, apparently. They can apparently get up to 11 inches or the size of a dinner plate, although a lot of the tarantulas in the hobby at the moment don't typically get as big as reported. But they definitely can get to 11 inches, so you need to be prepared to have a big tarantula if you want a Lasiodora Parahybana. In mine, and I think a lot of people's experiences, these are very fast growers. So mine's only about, let's say, 3 years old. It's probably going to mature out soon. I reckon, you know, for a tarantula to reach its full adult size, it'll be taken between 4 to... Did I just speak a lot of words that didn't make any sense? I would say between 4 to 5 years old is when they will be fully mature and a full adult size. Just going off what my growth pattern has been for my tarantula, but some can mature earlier and grow faster. But considering I do have a little tiny Brachypelma hamori back there, which is almost the same age, just a few months younger, who is still that big, I can confirm that Lasiodora Parahybana's grow really fast, which is really exciting when you get a first tarantula, because obviously you get loads and loads of molts, which is very exciting. They are terrestrial, but they also do like to burrow, so whilst I wouldn't really keep them in a massive sort of fossorial enclosure that was literally massive and deep, I would keep them with a big amount of substrate just so that they can bury if they should need to. Some of them tend to stay out in the open and some of them do tend to burrow, so it's up to you and the personality of your tarantula as to how much substrate you give them, but they're not technically fossorial, they are just terrestrial. Temperature tends to be around, you know, the mid-20s. It can fluctuate a little bit. Tarantulas are really good in the fact that a lot of people say, you know, if you're comfortable, the animal's comfortable. I tend to think if it's over 20 degrees in the room, then they're probably comfortable. My room stays at I'll just grab this little gadget. At the moment, oh, I've just pressed Fahrenheit by accident. It is 23.9, so it's nearly 24 degrees, and it is at 47% humidity just out in the room, and that's not including, you know, like spraying the tanks down and stuff, because it'll be different in their tanks than it is out here. So that will probably be quite a good temperature, and probably anything under 30 degrees would also be comfortable for them, because it does get quite hot where they're from. And humidity is actually a little bit of debate. I found that they are a humid enjoying species, but not a humid dependent species, I suppose. What I do is I always make sure they have a water bowl 24/7, because that species is one that I often see drink, so I know he definitely likes to have a lot of water. I will overflow that a lot, but also I've got live plants, so I'll water all the live plants as well. I used to like mist a little bit, but I don't do that anymore. I just water the live plants, so then he can burrow into the moist substrate if he wants, because I just find like misting makes loads of water droplets all over the tank, and it doesn't really, you know, go into the soil, so like an hour later it's dry anyway. That's how I keep mine, but I've heard other people say that you should keep them really dry, because in parts of Brazil where they're from it's very arid, but I found that he does appreciate a bit of humidity, and he definitely drinks out his water bowl, so I wouldn't say he's an arid species. He's probably a good humidity of around 50 to 70%, and if you've just watered them they'd probably be happy to go up to about 80%. In my opinion, they do make a good tarantula for beginners. However, it depends really what you want the tarantula for. If you're a bit scared that they're going to be fast moving, this might be not one for you. You might be better off with a Brachypalma or a Phenopalma. I found that those ones are really slow moving and docile. Like, you can put the food in, they won't run around the cage kind of crazy when you pick it up, because Susie likes to do that. And if you're a little bit intimidated by the speed of tarantulas, then this might not be the one for you. But in terms of hardiness, and in terms of, you know, it being my first tarantula, so obviously I was a beginner then, they are so resilient and they're so readily available. You know, they're quite cheap, which, you know, it is kind of sad in a way that they're so cheap, because anybody can get them, and if you mess up it doesn't really matter, you just get another one, because you're not likely to buy like a £100 tarantula sling when you've not had them before, you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't really recommend that for beginners, because you might not end up keeping them well. But because Lasiodora Parahybana is a little bit cheaper, and it is very hardy, and it's very forgiving of any mistakes. They can be kept humid, they can be kept a bit drier. They'll generally accept any kind of food item, even if it's a little bit too big, or, you know, if it's a little bit too small, you can feed multiple of them. They just do really well. And I think price does kind of factor into a beginner's sort of criteria that they would like to meet. So to summarise, I don't think they're good for a nervous beginner, but I think they're really good for a confident beginner. I do have to apologise that Susie wasn't really in much of this video, and it was just me sort of talking. Unfortunately, he's buried himself into his burrow, and so I can't get any footage of him. But hopefully I'll have put some sort of, you know, videos and stuff on the screen so that you could see him a little bit better and it's more interesting. This is the enclosure. It's one of my favourite enclosures for the tarantulas I've got at the moment. It's actually an old fish tank that actually leaked, so it's not too good, but for a tarantula that's fine, because you don't need no like water. So yes, this is now a tarantula tank. The light also came with the tank. It is an Aqua 155 litre. I do use the light for the live plants, but it's not on all the time. I only put it on, you know, when I wake. I don't have it on a timer or anything. I literally just walk in here when I wake up, and then I'll turn it off before it starts to get dark outside. And he's made his little burrow under there as well, so it's nice and dark in there where he is, so it shouldn't stress him out too much or anything. I actually had it all mounded up at the back there, but he dug up there, pushed it all down the side, and made a little hole at the top there, so that's his own doing. Got some leaf litter and stuff in the bottom, and a little water dish back there that you can't really see, but I promise there is one. The lid is just a sheet of Perspex with some holes drilled in, and just for a little bit of security. The lid is quite heavy, so I don't think he'd push it off, but I just put some, you know, Velcro on there to keep him contained. Unfortunately, I will not be coaxing him out with a meal either, because he's in pre-molt, so what? Also, I was talking about how deep it should be, and it looks like he has like no substrate at all, but I promise when I put my hand sort of next to it, it is very deep. Let's go to the side. If I just slide in, you can see, you know, that's plenty deep enough, that is. So thanks again to Ebbs for letting me on her channel. I'll see you later, bye!
So, there you go, that is Jade's LP. We all know how I feel about LPs, but she chose to do LP, she can do LP. It's fine by me. So yeah, we actually had a, well, I say we, Sidex actually had a very small juvie LP as his first tarantula as well. and that also turned out to be male after we called it Raven. We called it Raven because he was convinced it was female. We had numerous moults that we actually thought was female, and then it matured into a male. So we kind of get why she's upset, because he absolutely loved that tarantula as well. But yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you to you, Jade, for doing this for me, and again, I really hope you like little Mike. He's so cute. So yeah, thank you, and I will see you next week for another video. And again, playlist link down below if you haven't seen the other videos, or if you want to go back and watch more videos of these, then you can do. Also, I would like to update you that I am now a host on the Webbers. Unfortunately, Renee had to step back due to personal circumstances and stuff going on, so she has stepped back. The plan was that I was just going to be joining anyway, but unfortunately Renee has had to step back, so it is the 5 hosts still. So the next Webbers is on Thursday at 8 PM UK time GMT, and that will be on my channel this Thursday coming. So obviously with this going out on a Friday, the last stream was last night. So yeah, hopefully I will see you all there next week, and hopefully I can bring you some new content to the stream and stuff like that. So yes, and again, I've rambled on enough, so yeah. Thank you, and I will see you next